here. This is formal.
By the right wheel, come on. Right? Hey.
I want to thank you all for coming here today as we pay respect to an ancestor who fought in the early years of the American Revolution. James Stewart was born October 28, 1749 in Blandford, Massachusetts. He began his service in the Revolution on April 20th, 1775 in response to the conflict in Lexington. He volunteered and joined Captain John Ferguson's company of Minutemen as an orderly sergeant. He marched with this company to Boston, where he arrived in May 1775. There he joined Colonel Timothy Danielson's regiment. While in Boston, he performed garrison duties and participated in several skirmishes. He was originally scheduled for a term of 9 months, but stayed 1 month longer at the request of General Washington. He was dismissed in March 1776 and returned home. James then enlisted in December 1776 to April 1777 and was engaged in carrying stores, provisions, and ammunition for the Northern Army in Suffield, Connecticut to Bennington, Vermont, under the direction of Captain Cannon's company. He again entered the service as a volunteer in May 1777 in Captain William Cannon's company and Colonel Whiting's regiment. He was sent by Colonel Whiting as an express to General Schuyler to inform him of the number of troops that were coming under the command of Colonel Whiting. He caught up to General Schuyler in Steensboro. He stayed there until he was joined by his company. He then began marching from Steensboro to Fort Ticonderoga with his company. On the way there, they were met by the American Army. They had evacuated Fort Ticonderoga and left it in the hands of the British Army. He was then dismissed and returned home. He immediately volunteered again and marched northward and was in the Battle of Bennington. After that engagement, he again returned home. Shortly after that, he joined Captain Cannon's company at Blandford and immediately marched to Bemis Heights in Saratoga, New York. He was sent to Albany with some prisoners and then returned back to Saratoga. He met up with the American Army and found that General Burgoyne and the British Army under his command had just surrendered to the Americans. He was then dismissed in November 1777 and returned home, ending his time in the service. This information was taken from a testimonial given by James on July 26, 1832, in a county court where he was a resident of Westerlo, New York. He was 83 years old at the time and was applying for his pension after Congress had passed the Benefit Act in June of 1832. James married his first wife, Anna Seton, in May 1776. They had a son, James Jr., in 1786. Anna died in March of 1814. James later married Cynthia Ward in April of 1815. James Jr. married Margaret Gordon, and they had a son, Terry Reed Stewart, in October of 1829. Terry married Adelia Jane Wideman Vincent, and they had a son, Jesse Reed Stewart, on July 12, 1878. Jesse married Emma Price in September of 1900. They had a son, George Reed Stewart, in February 1902. George married Alice May Zink, August of 1921. George and Alice had 3 daughters, Edna, Ann, and Barbara. Barbara Rosemary Stewart married Richard Frank Russell in September of 1958. They have 3 children, Richard Jr., Sherry Lynn, and Laura Ann. This genealogy has been approved by the Sons of the American Revolution, and a national number has been assigned to Richard Jr.
Okay, boys here. Follow. 4, on.
We therefore acknowledge James Stewart as a Revolutionary War veteran and honor his grave with this marker and flag as a symbol of his sacrifice for independence, freedom, and liberty.
I tripped it now.
Right about. Hey. Set. Fire!
Gotta go over and take a picture of that way. On the front. Take a picture up in front. Who can't see? That's all right. Cameras can. The camera can.
Set. Fire! Ready? Breathe. Set. Fire! Half time for a lock. Totally off. Lock. Cut. Can. Are they right about? Face.